Perfecto. All right, are you guys ready? Yeah?
Yep.
All right, pretend like there's 1,000 people listening. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Okay. it's just me. It's me and Andrew, so we're cool. And
so nervous.
Don't be nervous. What? It's only me and Andrew, and we love you, so don't be nervous. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a start, and then if you edit, you take out all the beginning stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you don't even do my intro.
You wouldn't need to do that.
Okay, so we're just gonna jump into it. I'm not gonna rattle off all my stuff because we cut that out of the recording anyway. Okay.
Okay.
Right after you introduce her, and then right when they take over is pretty much like right where they start.
Got it. So go ahead and advance to your first slide, and I'll just say I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Jayzona and George. Okay?
Okie dokie.
All right, here we go. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Jayzona and George. Thank you so much for attending. Please enjoy the webinar.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar. We're really excited to present on our topic, Development with Data Using Exam Question and Longitudinal Data to Develop Better Assessments, Items, and Curriculum. My name is Jayzona Alberto, and I'm one of the academic managers here at the College of Dental Medicine at Western University of Health Sciences in Pomona, California.
My name is Jorge, and I'm also an academic manager here at CDM. Today we're going to review the method we have implemented at our institution. Please keep in mind that there may be another solution you come across that may work better for you. Don't feel pressured to go this exact route, but rather our goal is for you to take away some ideas which may help shape your institutional ExamSoft workflow.
So you may be confused as to why there are these characters from a children's show photoshopped into our photo on campus. Well, the running joke in our office is that George and I kind of resemble these Nickelodeon cartoon characters, Dora and Diego, who are two children who go on these really awesome adventures. We thought we would roll with that, so Dora and Diego have helped us map out our process for collecting test questions, creating assessments, and generating reports. The Dora and Diego reference will make much more sense once we introduce you to our roadmap to ExamSoft success, which we'll show you in a couple of slides. And then before we go into detail about our process, I just wanted to give you all a brief background on our college and our uses of ExamSoft. So the College of Dental Medicine was founded back in 2009, and it's one of 9 colleges here at Western University of Health Sciences. Our medical school was the first of all the colleges to utilize ExamSoft, and shortly after, our college followed suit. One of the many reasons we began utilizing ExamSoft was because at our institution, a few courses were taught interprofessionally, one of them being our first-year gross anatomy course. The gross anatomy course is taught primarily by faculty from our medical school, although our dental students as well as the podiatry and optometry students take the class alongside the DOs. Although the course is taught to students from the 4 different colleges, each program administers their own exams. So we obtained the ExamSoft blueprint and upload file from the medical school, and we upload it to our own ExamSoft portal. Because of this particular process, it was beneficial for us to utilize ExamSoft in our program. So at the College of Dental Medicine, our faculty members, which are comprised of dental specialists, general dentists, and clinical researchers, teach an integrated curriculum. Therefore, many of our courses are team taught. First, second, and third-year dental students, they do take a course titled Essentials of Clinical Dentistry. And then in this course, it contains many components which are taught by multiple members of our dental faculty. By integrating the curriculum in this manner, the concepts and the hand skills are introduced, developed, and mastered. And in this method of instructional scaffolding, this enables our faculty members to build upon the concepts and skills that the students are learning rather than isolating subjects or teaching in a subject-specific curriculum. Because we have a large number of faculty members teaching in one course, it is essential for them to have a central location to collaborate in creating assessments. For example, in one of the ECD, the Essentials of Clinical Dentistry exams, there can be up to 8 faculty members submitting questions for the exam on their lectures. And because of this unique situation, we developed the process we currently have now.
The learning objectives for this webinar are listed here. At the conclusion of the presentation, we hope that you have a better idea of how to create meaningful assessment data using ExamSoft and how to utilize that data to implement changes to your curriculum. So to kind of play off the running joke in our office, we developed this Dora and Diego roadmap outlining our approach. Before we began to streamline how our office interacted with ExamSoft, we found ourselves stuck in the alligator pit, which you can see there at the bottom of the map. For those of you who find yourselves there now, this map is meant to spark some ideas with the goal of improving your process and increasing efficiency for your institution. So we're going to quickly go over the process we use that caused us to feel as though we were stuck in that alligator pit. As you may be aware, ExamSoft allows you to import assessment questions using either an RTF file created in Microsoft Word or a text file from Microsoft Excel. Originally, we utilized the RTF import, which caused many challenges. First, it was especially difficult for us to use the Word template, being that many of our courses are team taught. This meant many faculty members worked off of a single document, which caused our staff to run into constant formatting issues that made it difficult to import the questions into ExamSoft. Secondly, this Word template made it challenging to effectively tag our categories, and even the minimal tagging that we did try to do was rather time-consuming.
And in addition to that, when the Word document was imported into ExamSoft, we noticed that we had several categories and we were not appropriately tagging them to our questions. Our category view in ExamSoft was really messy, which ultimately forced us to spend our summer term last year, a time that is typically slow on campus, reorganizing our categories and determining which of these categories were essential to track and pull data for. Finally, the problem we experienced with category tagging led us to generate reports that weren't as robust as we hoped. For example, some of our categories only had one question tagged to it. It was just pointless, so yeah. But because of all of these challenges that we were facing, we were unable to use the reports and the data we can obtain from ExamSoft to create better test questions, assessments, and even to make improvements to our curriculum. These issues really handicapped our ability to make progress, and we realized that although we were using ExamSoft for most of our assessments, we weren't really using it to its fullest capacity. There was so much more potential for the use of ExamSoft, and it was truly at our fingertips. So we needed to revamp our entire process in order for us to get there. We needed to find a means of really improving our process for the college.
So these challenges made us really rethink our workflow and propose and develop various improvements, leading us to our current process.
So our landmark number 1 and the first step in our process is titled Test Item Collection. In order to collect our test question items from our faculty members, we needed to gather all of the previously used questions from past assessments and then transfer them into a question bank so that faculty members are able to view the question text, the answer choices, and the psychometrics. We determined that the best method of doing so was by extracting all of this data from ExamSoft and then organizing it in an Excel spreadsheet that would be then posted to our exam question submission site. To obtain this data, we needed to use the item analysis feature in ExamSoft for every single one of the assessments of every single course taught within our curriculum. The thousands of questions and psychometric data that we pulled from ExamSoft during the summer term of last year and then transferred onto the Excel file soon became our question bank, which we continue to build throughout the academic year. And then using the item question analysis feature, the statistical information we extracted included test metrics such as the point by serial, the question ID and revision number, the upper and lower rank, and the discrimination index. And we also looked at the difficulty level as well. This information is necessary so that the faculty members are aware of how a particular question performed. If they are provided with this information, then they can determine whether they want to use that question again for an exam, or if any edits to the question need to be made in the hopes of the students performing better on that specific question. Because of the team-taught and integrated curriculum that we have at our dental school, we separated the questions into 3 question banks. These are based on what arm of the curriculum those questions come from. For example, all our questions that are from the preclinical courses are contained on one Excel file, and then similarly, all questions that derive from the biomedical science courses are created into their own item bank as well. Well, this becomes useful for faculty members, especially when they want to see whether their colleagues may have similar questions as theirs, or perhaps want to improve and reuse questions from a faculty member who no longer works at the institution. If the faculty were restricted to viewing just their own exam questions, the collaborative nature of our college may be lost, as this process really encourages them to work more closely together.
As you can see on the left, the development of this interactive question bank has been really beneficial to the process. Along with being user-friendly and great for collaboration, as Jayzona mentioned, faculty are able to view questions from their colleagues. This question bank also allows us to maintain a level of quality assurance and a way to easily organize our numerous test questions. As previously mentioned, with a team-taught curriculum, it is common for multiple faculty members to contribute items for one exam. This challenge led us to the development of an interactive form outlined on the right. This form allows for a central location for faculty to input their items, making it simple for staff to extract the data and prepare for upload to ExamSoft. The structure of the form consists of the fields listed here. For each entry, faculty members indicate the question type, question text, and correct answer, along with the ability to add any attachments. Almost any file type is actually allowed here, including videos. We also ask our faculty to indicate where the question can be found in their lectures for the course. The purpose of this is to make sure students are being assessed on material they were actually given. Other logistical options can be found on the form, such as indicating whether they want to randomize their answers or group together questions.
Prior to our current process, we rarely organize the categories in ExamSoft, and because of our experience with the messy categories, we learned that by regularly organizing them at the end of each term, the category view in ExamSoft looked much cleaner, and then also allowed for easier upload into the appropriate category folder. If you have questions tagged to a category, and this is just a quick trick for you, if you no longer use those categories, then you can create a folder titled trash, or maybe like no longer using, and then you would move those categories into the folder. I also like to make sure that the import category goes there at the end of the semester as well. This is just to ensure that the category view is as clean as possible. These are all currently our categories we tag in ExamSoft. And as I've said a few times, it used to be quite messy, but our administration tried to condense and limit the categories only to those that they wanted to pull data for. So now we generate reports for categories such as our institutional learning outcomes, our program learning outcomes, or as we call them, CDM competencies, and then topics specific to dentistry or biomedical sciences, and then also the clinical discipline.
So in order to house the form we discussed earlier and the question bank, we created a site on a collaborative business platform. Using this site, the form is able to interact directly with the question bank in that faculty members can populate fields from previously used questions. The form also allows faculty to easily tag question categories using simple drop-down menus. This is actually very key since from our experience, the more user-friendly you can make your question gathering resource, the more faculty buy-in you will receive. Another great feature of the site is the use of a deadline calendar, which reminds faculty when questions are due for upcoming exams. Those deadlines arrive, which are inputted by staff. Automatic emails are generated to the users. This site has really helped to increase efficiency for both faculty and staff.
And as George mentioned, faculty buy-in is really important to us. So one of the ways we've promoted faculty buy-in is by holding development workshops to train them on tagging consistently. In addition, George had created this YouTube tutorial which basically walks our faculty members through the steps of inputting questions, tagging categories, and querying previously used questions into our form. This summer, we plan to work with our college administration to host more training for the faculty members, just so that our reports are truly generating data that reflects what the students are being assessed on.
The second step in our process, and landmark number 2, is assessment creation. So once all faculty members have completed inputting questions for an exam, we're easily able to extract the data directly into an ExamSoft Excel template file. One issue we have dealt with of note is, which you actually might also encounter, is that when you extract the data into an Excel file, you might notice some unwanted special characters. So just a quick tip, if you experience this, remember to use the Find and Replace feature in Excel to quickly remove them. So once the data has been formatted for input, our staff members convert it to a text file. This is the file type required by ExamSoft for upload.
Just as a side note, our college's Office of Academic Affairs is the main user of ExamSoft, and therefore faculty members are rarely in the ExamSoft system and do not really create the assessments. Many people have asked us why our process is this way, and we found that in order to maintain a consistent setup in ExamSoft, our academic affairs staff should be primarily responsible for inputting the questions and developing the assessments. In addition, the less time our faculty members spend on the technical aspect of assessment creation, the more time they can focus on their main job, which is teaching and providing support to the students. With that said, a member of the Office of Academic Affairs is responsible for creating the assessments in ExamSoft. After uploading the file, the individual reviews the exam questions for formatting errors that may have occurred during the import, as well as any noticeable spelling or grammatical errors. Once they complete this task, they export an exam draft in the form of a Word document, and then it's posted to the assessment collaboration site so that the faculty and course directors can review it together. After the staff member receives all edits and makes the changes within ExamSoft, then the course director gives the final approval before the staff member deploys the assessment to the student. So our third landmark and the next step in our process is generating reports. As the third step of our process is generating reports, I'm going to briefly go over the types of reports that we pull from ExamSoft and the importance of each of these reports to our course directors. So once the students have completed an assessment and soft test, a staff member from the Office of Academic Affairs pulls 4 reports and then posts them to our assessment collaboration site so that the course directors can review them. These reports are listed here, and they're the exam taker results, the item analysis report, the summary report, and the category report. The exam taker results, they basically just provide the course directors with an overview of the student's performance on the assessment, where the item analysis report offers an in-depth look at each question on the exam and its performance in regards to the cohort. Our summary report is basically this very nicely displayed and very visual overview of the assessment, and it includes the low, average, and high scores of the exam, and on certain categories, the low, average, and high scores, as well as indicating who the high-performing students are and then who the at-risk students are. Finally, the category report illustrates a breakdown of the categories tagged to the questions within the assessment. So here's a helpful tip for you. If you want to maintain a location that houses not just your question bank and exam draft, also put your exam reports there, which is a good way to give faculty access to these documents. So not only do we use the assessment collaboration site for just the question submission form that we previously spoke about, but also to house everything related to the assessment, so the exam draft and the assessment reports as well.
After reviewing the item analysis and various question metrics, faculty members are able to recommend key changes to the exam. This can include giving credit to all students on questions which perform poorly. We also manage this workflow online and ask faculty to provide specific reasoning for the change. This process alone has helped to improve the quality of the test items in our question banks. Once faculty approve the release of the assessment scores, we upload them to each student's web-based academic profile. They are also provided with their score report via ExamSoft. These reports contain only the answer they chose as well as the correct answer. Score reports are also used at the review session our staff holds following each exam. So the fourth and last landmark in our process is reporting longitudinal data. So now that we have our questions properly categorized, we are able to make sense of the data using the longitudinal reports provided by ExamSoft. This data is extracted at the middle and end of each curricular term. We utilize the filter features to extract data from all items categorized by our program and institutional learning outcomes, as well as clinical and biomedical science disciplines.
So one of ExamSoft's greatest features with the most potential for extracting truly meaningful data is the longitudinal analysis report. This report, or this feature of ExamSoft, is easily tied as one of my top two. And the reason why I love this feature is that the data that one can pull from it can essentially be a mechanism for change in a program's student performance and curriculum. Our college was utilizing ExamSoft for a couple years before we realized the potential of this really badass feature. The reports that are generated using the longitudinal analysis feature is reviewed college-wide by all levels of faculty, staff, and administration. A few examples of those groups and individuals are provided here on the screen. So our college dean and our clinical dean have found the reports to be beneficial in seeing whether students are meeting expectations for specific competencies. But it's our academic dean who really utilizes the data from these reports just to demonstrate to the university administration how students in our program are performing from cohort to cohort, and also how we are assessing our institutional learning outcomes. The longitudinal data are then created in visual representations that are provided to various committees in college and university administrations. So some of that data is put into this graph form into a graph kind of similar to the one on the screen. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. As the academic managers for the college, George and myself utilize the data to evaluate student performance. The ability to view an individual student against his or her cohort enables us to determine if a student may be on the threshold of failing a course or even an assessment. In addition, if a student doesn't pass a course, we can also generate a report illustrating what areas he or she may need improvement, and then offer that information to our Student Performance Committee. As George mentioned, longitudinal data is gathered at the midterm and end of term marks. So we post all of this data to the student's web-based academic portal. The student and his or her advisor are able to view the average performance for a particular category, the average performance of that category against their cohort, and also the number of question items that are tagged with that particular category. The categories that are shared with the students and advisors are our institutional learning outcomes, program learning outcomes, and then the clinical and biomedical science disciplines. We don't really share the dentistry or biomedical science topics with them unless it's necessary. By providing regularly updated data, the faculty advisors can reach out to their student advisees if they see areas of weakness and offer additional forms of tutoring or support. And then finally, our longitudinal data is reviewed regularly in the Curriculum Design Committee meetings. And if any gaps are visible in the data, for example, if we are not assessing a particular ILO, then the committee addresses it and determines the next steps to improve and suggest changes to our curriculum. So a little bit about the graph on the screen. This is just one of the graphs taken from or created out of the longitudinal analysis report. And this illustrates our 2018 cohort's performance in the clinical disciplines listed on the x-axis. Because the feature only provides the data, a suggestion perhaps for ExamSoft may be to incorporate the creation of graphs for the generated data.
So our revised process has provided an assortment of benefits, many of which you see here. So we have been able to streamline by implementing a more manageable question bank housed in one central location, facilitating collaboration amongst the faculty body. We have been able to increase office efficiency, which has been widely noted. Staff spend much less time formatting exams for import. In fact, we now spend 30 minutes preparing this import, compared to the previous 4-hour time frame. This increased efficiency allows our staff more time to ensure we maintain a clean and concise organizational structure in ExamSoft. Our streamlined question bank has also led to increased accountability amongst our faculty members. Since we have been able to create an interface that they can easily interact with, and when you combine this with the time they save not having to format their questions on a Word document, we expect them to use this time to consistently update their question content and make sure they are properly categorized. This has led to a culture of quality control, allowing us to provide the students with highly refined exam questions.
Another one of our benefits of our improved process is that the technical aspect is much quicker than before. With a form that exports an Excel document that mimics the ExamSoft upload file, staff members are able to turn around the assessment creation task fairly quickly. In addition to this, the form concatenates our categories so that they are easily imported into ExamSoft. And once all the questions are submitted by the faculty, staff members can create assessments in a matter of minutes. This has significantly improved our workflow in our office and allows the faculty members to focus on their primary job, which is teaching. Earlier I discussed the many uses we have for our longitudinal data. And as I mentioned, faculty advisors can view the student performance on their academic progress portal, but students too can track their own performance in regards to the institutional learning outcomes, the program learning outcomes, and the clinical and biomedical science disciplines. If a student regularly tracks his or her progress, they can see their strengths and their weaknesses and then focus their learning and studying on areas that really need improvement. In the process of organizing our categories, this has led to continuous refinement of our curriculum map. Our deans have already begun looking at the data gathered from the questions and rubrics tagged during the last academic year and have begun to implement changes to the curriculum that will hopefully prove to be beneficial for our students and overall improving our student performance. So in conclusion, thinking outside of the box and implementing a creative and innovative process that has been embraced by faculty and staff at our institution has really resulted in positive changes for our organization in only a matter of a year. Although this process is running smoothly now, we did experience a few obstacles and bumps in the road, and we did learn a lot of lessons. So a few significant lessons that we learned from this experience include having a logical structure and organization for your categories and subcategories prior to implementing or changing your process, and ensuring you have the support of administration and other key stakeholders involved. And finally, being mindful that any change, whether large or small, to the process will take time, effort, and patience. It really can be a daunting task to reroute your ExamSoft roadmap, but with a clear vision and perseverance, your institution will be that much closer to ExamSoft success. So does anyone have any questions for us?
Thank you so much, Jayzona and George, for that wonderful presentation. We're going to go ahead and take a Q&A session right now. So if you do have questions, go ahead and type them in through the questions portion of the GoToWebinar control panel, which should be on the right-hand side of your screen. We're going to go ahead and jump into this right now, as we already have a few waiting. Guys, the first question is, how is the Excel file shared with instructors? Is it just accessible through the form?
So no, the Excel file is actually not seen by faculty. So faculty only interact with their item input using the form on our site, and that's just a very easy form that they use. They don't actually have to deal with any of the Excel structure. So once we have all the data gathered from the form, it's actually the staff that then pulls the Excel report, imports that into ExamSoft, And so the only other time they interact with it is when they see the Word draft that's generated from ExamSoft again. So they don't have to deal with the Excel document at all.
Great. Next question is, how long do you wait to release the reports to the students?
So it really depends on when we get the key changes from the item analysis back from the course directors and our academic dean. So once the students complete an assessment, someone from our staff, from the Office of Academic Affairs, they send the course directors and the academic dean the item analysis report, and then they are the ones who determine which questions need to be thrown out or which answer choices need to be accepted for a particular question, and then our staff members make those changes in ExamSoft. And then once the final approval from the course director and the academic dean is provided to the staff member, then we release the results to the students. And so it could take anywhere from an hour to a day, but our turnaround time in our office is fairly quick. So on average, probably about 2 to 3 hours.
Great. And a follow-up question is, what type of exam information is being released to students via the reports?
So the reports actually only contain the answer that the student provided on ExamSoft. So there's no question text or answer text that they see. Other than that, they also see what the correct answer was, as well as the order of the exam as they saw it. That's pretty much all they see. It's a very limited report for them. To see really any of the question text or answer text, they would have to come to our review sessions.
Great. Next question is, what type of assessments are you using this process with? Are clinical courses included?
We use this process primarily for biomedical science courses and preclinical courses, although recently we did use this process for one of our clinical courses, and it was almost like a simulated clinical exam in an ExamSoft multiple choice question essay format, which was actually beneficial in helping us pull data in which we tagged the categories for those specific questions. So we're starting to use it in the clinic a lot more now, and we anticipate to kind of launch that within the next year or year and a half.
Great. Next question is, how do you use the assessment reports from ExamSoft to find gaps within the curriculum? As in, how do you do the gap analysis using these reports?
So one of the major features in ExamSoft is the longitudinal analysis report, which, as I mentioned, is my favorite, one of my top 2 favorite features of ExamSoft, and that's actually helped us in doing the gap analysis for our curriculum. So an example I usually give is one of our institutional learning outcomes is humanism, and so we tried to tag our questions and our rubrics with that particular ILO. And then when we pulled the data at the end of this year, we found that only 3 questions, or probably only 3 or 4 questions, were tagged with the ILO of humanism. And so so that kind of helped us see like where we need to either better tag the questions with humanism, or we need to find ways to improve our curriculum so that we are teaching and also assessing the ILO of humanism.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. That looks like that wraps it up for today. If anybody has any questions, you have Jayzona and George's contact information on the screen in front of us. If you have questions for ExamSoft, we can be reached at info@examsoft.com. I'd like to remind everybody of our upcoming webinars, which can be found on our resources page on our homepage, learn.examsoft.com/resources. We do have several coming up in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for your presentation today, Jayzona and George, and thank you all for attending. We appreciate you being here. Have a great day.